only motivate me.
Today's video brought to you by 0 Calorie Monster. Very good, very tasty. Don't have them all that often, but when I do enjoy them. And the reason I don't have them all that often is mostly because I don't want to get burnt out on them, and because I happen to use some fantastic supplements like Core Nutritional, so I don't really need a lot of stimulation. Speaking of which, if you're not familiar with Core for Your Extreme and Pump Extreme, be sure to check them out. Core Nutritionals, fantastic supplements. Anyway, shameless plug for one of my sponsors, and just a fantastic company. So, all right, guys. So today's topic is going to be the ketogenic diet, and it's something that I've been pretty familiar with for going on, I want to say 3 or 4 years. And when I talk about being familiar with ketogenic dieting, it's not from the perspective of the typical, I don't want to call it the Dave Palumbo ketogenic diet, but I've seen the Dave Palumbo ketogenic diet, and the Dave Palumbo ketogenic diet is just a low carb diet. It's not a ketogenic diet where the person is actually getting into ketosis. As far as I know, I am not an expert on Dave Palumbo's diets or any of the other people that are using a so-called ketogenic diet approach, because for those that are not familiar with how the body processes macronutrients, you do not need to ingest carbohydrates to get glucose. Your body will do it for you. So if you overeat protein, it's called gluconeogenesis, your body can actually convert that into glucose and use that as fuel, keeping your body out of ketosis. So what is a ketogenic diet, and why am I talking about it today? The reason I'm talking about it today is because I flipped on the TV yesterday, flipping through channels looking for cartoons for my son. It was on the Today Show, and I saw Dr. Oz on there, and I cringed. Like, oh Christ, I'm not a Dr. Oz fan. You know, I'm not an expert on Dr. Oz, but the few times that I've been flipping channels and seen him raving about either a supplement or this is going to change your life or this, it's been kind of something that I highly disagree with. It's kind of fear-mongering TV, and I don't know what kind of doctor he is, but you know, fear-mongering should not be your aim. Either way, he was talking about a ketogenic diet, and again, I didn't stay on the channel long enough to see if they were actually discussing what a ketogenic diet is. Where I was introduced to it was Dr. Dominic D'Agostino out of the University of South Florida when I attended Lane Norton's first camp about 4 years ago. And what Dom is doing is research for like Navy SEAL divers, people with epilepsy, even people who are dealing with some other diseases, even such as cancer. And they're finding that there are benefits to being in a ketogenic diet. So what is a ketogenic diet if it's not low carb? Well, a ketogenic diet is actually high fat, low protein, no carb. And there may be some trace carbohydrates in your diet, but for the purposes of getting into ketosis, you're going to be high fat. So what's high fat when we're talking about calories? 65 to 75% of your diet is going to come from fats. So, what are the benefits? Well, when your body is using ketones for fuel, protein sparing is elevated, so you need less protein. When your body is using ketones for fuel, your blood sugar levels are much more stable. What are the benefits of blood sugar levels being stable? The biggest benefit, in my opinion, would be hunger. You don't get hungry as often. When I speak to Dom about his use of the ketogenic diet, he works in a lab doing research all day. He likes that he can eat twice a day. He eats in the morning, he eats at night. He doesn't get hungry. A lot of people, including people that I've worked with that have tried this approach, have given me feedback such as mental clarity. the ability to think quicker and sharper, because your brain is now using ketones for fuel instead of glucose. So there may be some advantages to it, but the real thing that I want to talk about is, before everyone decides, oh, I'm going to jump on the keto bandwagon, this is going to be the diet that changes everything. Remember, there's always something that comes out that's going to change everything. This isn't anything different than that. For people in specific situations, I'm not going to get into that here, but people that, may have cancer or, a history of Alzheimer's, things like that, there may be some reasons to be in a ketogenic diet. But for the people that watch my channel and listen to me, generally they're going to be physique athletes. And I don't recommend a ketogenic diet for physique athletes. Mostly because, although ketones are great in some aspects, as far as performance-based athletes, you will notice a degradation in performance in the gym. This is just my opinion, and the people that I've worked with, and the research that I've seen, is that you may notice a decrease in performance and strength, and so it may not be best for that. Now, endurance athletes, there may actually be some really good benefits for that. A case study of a triathlete who switched to a ketogenic approach and did very well is something that I recall. So there may be some aspects to that. The other thing to consider is it's a huge lifestyle change. You are no longer eating carbohydrates. You are no longer making protein the primary focus of your diet. The primary focus of your diet is fats. So there are some very interesting choices for foods. To get your fats that high, you really have to focus on foods that are primarily fat, which is very strange for some people, and it might even be off-putting. But the biggest takeaway is that you can no longer have carbohydrates, and I can't say that enough times. And if that's something that doesn't bother you, then that's fine. But most people like pasta and pizza and bread and donuts, and although I've heard from people that have done this approach on ketogenic dieting, that you no longer crave those things, it can become a social issue if you're not in a situation where everyone buys in with you, or you're dealing with family, friends, anything like that. It's going to be a very unique setup. And so my big takeaway from a ketogenic approach is I just want people to understand, most of the time when people talk about ketogenic diets in the bodybuilding world, it's not a ketogenic diet. Unless you're getting your ketone levels tested, they have little blood samples that will actually test your ketone levels. You're most likely not in ketosis. Getting into nutritional ketosis is not an easy process. You either need to fast, or you need to cut carbohydrates out and put protein very low and make fats very high for as long as a week, depending on where you're at with your nutrition. So just understand that it's not a simple fix, it's not a simple change, and it's not low carb dieting. It's literally no carb dieting, low protein dieting, high fat. Now there certainly may be some cases where it's beneficial, and I'm not disputing that. I just wanted to put a video out there because I know it happens when these Dr. Oz videos come out. I get a lot of email requests or questions regarding this. So this is simply going to be my response to those emails. I can, point them to this video. And if you have more specific questions, I'd happy to answer them in the comments below. But before you do that, look up Dr. Dominic D'Agostino. Look at his TED Talk. Look at some of his discussions on ketogenic dieting. There's probably some other good resources out there as well. I really don't feel like I need to look for other resources because A, I'm not currently doing it. B, I have access to Dom, and he is the authority in my mind. And he's also working with some big name companies to develop some products for those people who choose to do a ketogenic approach. And so in the future, being on a ketogenic diet may be easier because these products are going to make that possible. And I've actually sampled some of the products, and they're fantastic. And I'm not at liberty to discuss the company or the products just because I don't know where they're at, and I'm kind of privy to some inside information with them. So I don't want to jump the gun. But regardless, ketogenic dieting, it seems like it's making a push. It's going to be in the mainstream media now. It's something that bodybuilders have known about for a long time, although I don't really believe they've actually been using it in a proper way, at least with the high protein approach that I've seen most of the keto diets be using. But overall, certainly it has a purpose and it has some benefits, but I just don't want people to jump to the conclusion that, oh, this is the missing thing that I need to do to get into shape. Carbohydrates are not your enemy, especially if you're a physique or performance athlete. So Anyway, guys, I hope that was helpful. I'd love to hear feedback and comments and questions on your thoughts on a ketogenic diet. But please educate yourself before you ask questions and look up some materials from experts like Dom on the topic. Don't trust what you hear in the media. Keep looking and getting more and more information, because the more people that are interested in, the more information is going to come about it. And I can even make a more specific video showing specific foods, dieting approach, how to set up your macronutrients if you choose to be taking a keto approach. It's not magic. To lose weight, you're still going to be in a caloric deficit, but there are some benefits to a ketogenic diet, and maybe it is right for you. Anyway, guys, I'm Paul Revelia with Physique.com, and I appreciate you watching the video, and I hope you guys have a great Thursday. I'll talk to you soon. See you.
Walk like I built this town. Steps so light, I barely touch the ground. Everybody wants to know how. Brick by brick, I put them in the ground. Walk like I built, walk like I built this. I do it for my people, family business, and everybody wants to know how. Take a good look, you are now witness. Wake up!